What about the children? To ignore is so easy. What about the children?
Well, I had to take a little bit of a hiatus because let me see how I can put this. I've had some good days and I've had some hills to climb. I am grateful for this young man who reminded me that I have lots of things to say and I should keep saying them. If you'll recall, we are using the Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction model to inform culturally responsive practices to guide our thinking. Our main focus is on the tenet that we need to believe all students can learn. We must examine the systems that impact our families and students. And as always, we need to become more self-aware. So before we get into part 2, I want to do a quick review of what we learned in part 1. In order to establish whether or not we as a society believe that all children can learn, Dewey told us to take a look at the broader society because school is actually a microcosm of that. With that, we reviewed several facts that really demonstrated the lack of value for people of color. We also looked at the work of Dr. Dakota Irby, who established that we need to treat people with a particular sense of dignity if we truly value them. And finally, we did look at several examples in the contemporary COVID-19 pandemic. In the meantime, in the good state of Wisconsin. Eek! Wisconsin. Oh my God, we are becoming the poster child for all foolishness. On May 14th, the Wisconsin Supreme Court struck down Governor Tony Evers' stay-at-home order. This was the first ruling of its kind nationwide. What's most troubling is some of the arguments that led up to this final decision. There was some discussion about the areas in which there were more cases than non-cases and going back and forth about the safety. And our chief court justice literally said, the spikes in COVID-19 were due to the meatpacking though. That's where Brown County got the flare. It wasn't just the regular folks in Brown County. So, who are the regular folks? As soon as the decision came down, the bars were open. Little social distancing, very few masks, and a lot of scary coronas are rolling around in Wisconsin. Now, going back to that dignity theme that Dr. Irby talked about, let's talk about the dignity of recognition or one's ability to be able to engage or participate in society, like your voice. Just consider, in 1968, the I Am a Man campaign to rally for better work conditions and access to work was a thing. And we're still rallying for those same things today. But in 2020, middle and upper class folk are putting pressure on the government for 2 whole months in spite of dangerous conditions. Boom, they get what they want. Just consider whose voice is valued. Okay. I may have digressed a little bit. Please stay with me. But, I get a little worked up when we look at that broader society. But now we got to get back to what about the children? If we believe that all children can learn, why do some kids have more than others to accomplish the same learning? Well, let's take a look at 3 ways that we don't support the belief that all students can learn. It's called put your money where your mouth is and watch your mouth. Hopefully you remember Beyonce's smash hit, Put a Ring on It. In other words, if you value me, then you will put the resources up to make sure that I'm happy. Okay, this might be not the same, but it is similar. If you believe all children can learn, you need to put your money where your mouth is. We're going to look at per pupil aid. What does that actually mean? According to the Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction's website, per pupil aid is the public money provided for each public school district in the state of Wisconsin to educate each child. However, local districts can ask their communities for referendums to fund building projects or provide additional money from property taxes to offer a more comprehensive educational program to students in their district. In other words, we literally can spend more money on some children than we do others. So let's take a look at what that looks like in Wisconsin. The average per pupil spending in the whole state of Wisconsin is $13,500 per student. In the Holy Hill Area School District, the per pupil spending is $11,180. In the Milwaukee Public Schools, the per pupil spending is $15,250 per pupil. However, in an adjacent suburb to Milwaukee, the spending in Nicolay Union High School District is $22,000 per student. So if you're looking at the MPS amount thinking, oh, that's pretty good, you have to consider that if we are looking at this from an equity lens, there may be and there are additional services and needs that the students in the largest urban school district have that need to be met. And so now let's take a look at how the funding translates into what facilities, opportunities, and experiences students are afforded. The next information that I'm going to share is from Detroit and Philadelphia. However, this could be any public school district anywhere across the country. In recent years, nationally, images of the Detroit Public Schools and Philadelphia Public Schools facilities have surfaced. Leaky ceilings and brown drinking water definitely do not express our belief that we have value in our students and they can learn under these circumstances. We have previously discussed the difference between equity and equality, and I think you may agree that the students in the previous slide do not even have anywhere near an equal opportunity as the students who attend these schools. I mean, literally, there's a nice water filter there. So not only are there differences in the actual facilities that students learn in, but now remember, we believe that all students can learn, but some students are learning in environments much more conducive to learning. We also have to look at the opportunities that students are actually afforded. In some of the schools where they have nicer water filters and nice classrooms, they also have the opportunity to participate in things like advanced placement, international baccalaureate program, foreign language. These are all things that offer students a greater opportunity once they graduate from high school. Participating in extracurricular activities like sports and different clubs, going on field trips and other out-of-school experiences really enhance the students' education. Students that attend schools that have brown water or leaky ceilings, they don't always get the same opportunities. So do we believe that they can actually learn at the same level as the other students? I think I'm with Chelsea when she asked on the CNN special about the Philadelphia Public Schools facilities, why does the color of the student's skin matter how much money we get for our school? Now, if you know me or if you don't and you watch my videos, you can tell that I like to talk. And sometimes the things that I say probably are inappropriate And my mom and my dad, when I was younger, used to always tell me to watch your mouth. And so next, we're going to talk about how in schools, if we believe all students can learn, we need to watch your mouth. We say we believe all students can learn, except if they are poor, maybe come from a single parent family home, are of color, maybe have a disability, or have a different gender identity, or other. Dr. Elizabeth Drame from the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee and DeRue Consulting calls that deficit thinking. She defines it this way. People are defined by what they are believed to be unable to do or what they are lacking rather than by what they are able to do or what they possess. Words have power, y'all. Here are some examples of deficit speech. Black men are not involved in their kids' life, so it's really difficult to teach black boys. First of all, when we say things like black men, we're talking all, so that's problematic. Secondly, even if a black man is not in the life of his child, that does not equate being unteachable. Third, there are many pieces of data that suggest that black men are actually in their lives of their children, but a particular narrative has been sold to us that says differently. You are in America now. You need to speak English, not Spanish, to be successful. In my understanding, speaking two languages was always an attribute. So when we tell immigrant Spanish-speaking students that they need to speak English only, that's problematic. These people don't value education. First of all, who are these people? Second of all, for me to get up on a daily basis to come somewhere with the belief that I am being educated would indicate that I value my education. Perhaps the education that is being provided is not all that valuable. My students are so far behind, they will never catch up. This would be equal to saying a preemie can never catch up to a regular sized child. And I know from personal experience that my 14-year-old who was a preemie currently wears a size 13 shoe. So basically, what we need to do is think about this phrase using an equity lens. What is it that that child needs in order to be where he or she should be? So what? Now what? So now what we're going to do is take a look at a social science concept called sphere of influence. That means kind of looking at what's outside of your control, what we might be able to do there, thinking about who we can influence, but then also thinking about what you can actually do to make sure that our actions are lined up with believing that all children can learn. First, you have what you can control. Dr. Drame said that really all of us have, to some degree, some negative speak, but that's not endemic to any particular race or socioeconomic class, but it is up to us to address it. She said when people come up with these things, we need to ask them to defend their positions. You can't just let these statements fly by you. You need to ask for and sometimes present the disconfirming evidence. If this is true, then why or why not this or that? Next, you have what or whom can you influence? Also, as equity has become a very relevant term, many districts do provide some professional development around equity And so it is really important that we hold our colleagues accountable to the trainings that we've had. When deficit speak comes up in conversations around what students can and cannot do, we need to hold our colleagues accountable using the tools and frameworks that we've been given to address the issues. And for those things that are outside of our control or outside of our influence, we need to make sure that we truly educate ourselves so that we know how to make an impact. For example, I'm sure many people didn't understand the per-pupil formula piece. Now you know, so when you are making decisions about who to vote for, you need to ask questions about how their position will actually impact schools. So now, in the end, do we believe all children can learn? I'm going to leave that as a rhetorical question. You tell me. Many of you who are educators and work in public school districts, you probably know the answer to that. But what I would ask you to do is to make sure that you are doing your part in ensuring that all children can learn. And that is going to require a heavy lift of changing some of our own practices and the way we influence others' perceptions and actions. In my next couple of videos, I will be talking a little bit more about what cultural identities are. I want to address what is culturally responsive teaching. I also want to talk about what an ally is and what an ally can do in making changes. Some of it might get a little personal, so I would suggest that you tune in. Please go to my YouTube channel and subscribe. Also like and comment on this video. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you real soon.